Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. We have Max as a special guest on the couch to bring to you the next series. It is the runner-up match for Group A between Savjz and SilentStorm, a rematch from the very beginning of day number 1. Max, how you doing, man? I know the loss was pretty tough, but you hanging in there, man?
Yeah, I played pretty badly, so I think I probably deserved to lose. I mean, I made a big miss playing game 2, and that probably cost me the series, but...
Yeah, we were talking about it. He was weighing the Fiery War Axe versus the Death Bite against the Rogue on turn 4, even though there's nothing on board. Pretty tough and brutal to have something like that be something stick out in your mind. But in the end, at least, you know, it's another tournament which you've come, showed up, and people are still like taking note. Like, okay, I've seen Max like everywhere by now, on almost every continent. You're going to be traveling to China to do the EU versus CN. Of course, they see you in Europe for DreamHacks and BlizzCon, and then you're here in America for ESL. Pretty much you're traveling the world at this point for Hearthstone. It's pretty cool still.
Yeah, I'd like to go to a tournament in Australia if anyone's one of those as well.
Yeah, maybe if like PAX Australia or something like that hosts a Hearthstone tournament, you can get there as well. Raina, how did you enjoy the break? Did you catch the games at all?
Not at all. Took a nap. It was great.
Raina was pretty tired from yesterday.
Not used to waking up at 8 a.m. I woke up, I saw the board state on the very last turn. You know, one player had a Fireball and a Frostbolt. The Druid had a secret. And I was like, you know, surely that's Ice Block. And,
no, it was Ice Barrier.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
it was a very weird game, but in the end, Jockey ended up advancing 3-1. And now we're at another elimination stage. We have 7 matches. All 7 players will be eliminated other than the champion for today. We have SilentStorm all the way from Canada representing Team Magic Amy. Even though she's not here, she seems to be mentioned a lot still, as almost as she is here.
You know, SilentStorm, I think, had probably the coolest decks of anyone here. You know, it takes some balls to play Demon Heart on purpose, right? That is, I love the Demon deck. It's really cool. I think he won like every game he's played it, right? It only came up once, I think.
I think he played it twice. He played it. He won 1 game, and I think he lost 1 game.
Oh, right, He played against Rogue.
Right.
That's a matchup he definitely needs to dodge. I've tried that. You can't really deal with Shredder very well with that deck. But aside from that, I think just a super strong deck. I'm glad to see somebody's bringing something kind of new to the table, something kind of fun to watch. So hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah, I think he's the only person bringing a Warlock deck. I expected like more Zoo. I nearly brought Zoos this tournament.
Really?
Well, it's just crazy because Warlock is usually pretty strong. Everyone always said Warlock's never going to go away from the top because of its hero power. And yet, this is another tournament that we've seen where Warlock's not really well represented. What do you think Warlock needs right now in order to get back to the top, in your opinion here?
Just a more refined list.
Yeah, because of the hero power, it's obviously always going to be like a relevant threat. But people just need to figure out the right build for it. Because now that everyone's playing BGH, his Handlock and Giants have fallen out of favor. We've seen people playing like the combo locks with Twilight Drakes. We've seen Demon Lock. We just need like someone to come up with the right exact 30 cards. Then Warlock's going to be the top deck again.
Maybe SilentStorm is the guy who has those 30 cards. We got a chance to sit down and talk with him with an interview, and this is what he had to say.
My name is Austin Lee. My username is SilentStorm. I'm from Canada and I play for Team Magic Amy. Being on Team Magic Amy is just a group that I can practice with. There's people that I can talk to about ideas, about the decks and specific strategies. Sometimes we can discuss about certain deck building and plays and stuff. I'm not that good of a player. I don't think so, because I think I still make a lot of mistakes in games, and there are a lot of people that are better than me, and also I have really bad RNG. My strongest attribute as a player, I make really fun decks, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And when they work, they're really fun to play and fun to play against.
Yeah, well, SilentStorm, look at him, man. He's focused. When he's in Hearthstone mode, it's all business. When he's in front of the camera talking about his life, maybe he's a little less comfortable about it. Compared to this guy, Savjz, who's been around for a long time, he had a series earlier today where he had a couple games where he just looked unstoppable based off the draws. Double Wild Growth, double Innervate into double Ancient of Lures. Can he keep up that kind of pace against a guy who 3-0'd him convincingly last time?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just a case where with the format he ran into a lot of matchups that he just wasn't comfortable with. Maybe it was just some bad luck. I'm sure it'll be a closer series this time. Pretty unlikely to see a 3-0 sweep, honestly, with the format we're using here in ESL. Just because it is so much like ladder, you kind of have to get a lot of unfortunate matchups in a row, which isn't that likely. But we are seeing a lot of 3-0s, 3-1s despite that. But yeah, you know, he's really comfortable with Druid. I'm sure that's going to get him at least one win, as long as he keeps drawing Wild Growth.
Yeah, and I think SilentStorm's decks are a bit different to normal decks, like other people's decks. Like the Warlock decks, obviously, there's a lot of cards we don't know what that we haven't seen. We don't know what's there, and now that we have more information, I think that favors Savjz.
Oh man. Well, the Rogue matched up against the Warlock, and
Yeah,
Reyna
and
was saying he's gonna try to dodge that, but again, it lined up perfectly.
And the Hunter also matched
The
up
Druid?
against the Druid, so two really bad matchups for SilentStorm. So definitely going to be an uphill battle for him. He needs to really win that second game and then try to kind of like come back from behind, I think, in the blind pick stage. But yeah, looks like it's going to start off with Druid versus Hunter. This is a matchup that Druid can win. I mean, we've seen it happen, but Hunter seems favored. You know, actually, I think Druid's won this matchup both times it's happened so far,
Yeah,
hasn't
I think so. Like I said, man, it's the cast of curse. Every time you start saying a matchup is good for one person, it'll go to the other.
I'm not a fan of keeping tracking, but I guess it guarantees a 2-drop.
Yeah, I also really don't like keeping tracking. I played tracking, not in this tournament, but I played it in my Hunter deck before. And it's more of a card that you want late game when you're looking for a big threat. You like play it to find another high main, to find a Dr. Boom. And I mean, in this spot, I mean, what do you take here?
Lothar is one of the more problematic cards that Drew has to deal with on turn 5.
Yeah, you already have a turn 2 play, and you can play Freezing Trap on 3 if you need to. Now, one issue I have with tracking that I think kind of makes the card a bit worse than it used to be is that when Mad Scientist first came out, like in the first list I was using it in, I had 4 traps. And you could play tracking in that list, right, without ever having Dead Scientist. But now you're seeing Hunter decks with like 2 traps only. So a lot of times when you play tracking, you track over one of your secrets. Your Scientists are worse, basically. So now that people are only playing 2 traps, it's just super likely to blank your Scientist.
That's a really good point. And in one of those cases, he had to skip over his Scientist. He already had a trap anyway, so like you said, it's less important. Well, other than this Innervate, looks like it's definitely awkward.
Yeah, I like this attack a lot. That's not a play a lot of people would have made, but he's doing it before the bow comes down, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and all he's got in his hand is 5 drops, so it's not like he has a cheap minion that he'll be able to pop trap with anyway. And we're probably going to see a coin either Druid of the Claw or the Azadrake here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Druid of the Claw in maybe Keeper. No, coin 5-drop has to be stronger.
Yeah, because he's got to follow up with another 5-drop next turn. Yeah, I definitely like the Druid of the Claw more than the Azadrake. He's got stuff to do on turn 5 or the next turn without drawing another card off the Azadrake. The Druid of the Claw just gives him a much stronger board presence.
Offer's going to come down and remove that Druid of the Claw for him, so that's nice.
How convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He also gets the Beast. I'm not sure how relevant that will be, but it might. I mean, it's one of those things where I've yet to see the Beast actually win a Hearthstone game in Pro Tournament before. Especially when you have 2 high mains.
Yeah, it basically just gives the Druid player a target to BGH and gets even more value out of BGH. I mean, we don't see a BGH yet, but we know that SilentStorm is running BGH.
Yeah, the Hunter decks these days have a lot more late game threats, so seeing a 6-mana card off a web spinner isn't really as good as it used to be. You're not really emptying your hand early with Leopard Gnomes and stuff. Like, you're going to have plays going into late game. You're going to have high mains, Dr. Booms, Ragnaros. So we'll see if Beast ever comes down. I think the game's going to be over one way or the other before that.
So I really like the attack of the Spider into the Druid of the Claw, because it stops SilentStorm clearing both spiders, say Wraths or Hero Power or Keeper, and it means the Loatheb is going to guarantee to have the damage to take out the Druid as well, which is very important.
If you didn't make that attack, you'd probably see a Keeper Hero Power turn there, which would have been much less effective.
Well, now at least he has a way to remove the Loatheb without taking too much damage. The most important thing is making sure the Hunter doesn't get too much push off this high main, but the double high main back-to-back is pretty devastating, honestly.
We do see 2 Keepers, so if he has the damage to kill the high main, he'll be able to silence it as well. So having the 2/2s there aren't going to be too much of an issue, but if he's not able to deal the damage to kill a high main anyway, it's not going to matter. And 2 high mains, just so much board pressure and so much damage that I think Savjz is way, way far ahead in this game right now.
The Druid can threaten a ton of damage out of nowhere though, so as the Hunter, you really want to hit face here, but it's really dangerous to leave Drake alive, especially because of swipes. I think you have to attack it.
Yeah, actually you're absolutely right about that. The Spell Power Swipe is almost lines up perfectly with the 5 health of the high main and the 2 the hyenas. I think Savjz is really agonizing over that decision too. It's not necessarily about what he has to play here as much as it's like, how does he interact with the high main and the Azure Drake?
So if we do see the Jack into the Azure Drake, we're probably going to see Keeper Wrath to deal with the first high main, but then we've still got the second high main that SilentStorm has to deal with.
Oh, he's got the Beast Hunter.
I got the Beast in my sight.
Literally.
I think I'd rather like to see double Keeper here and then trading into the 6/1. If you Keeper Wrath, you're forcing yourself to Keeper again next turn. And that just doesn't seem very mana efficient with what he's working with. I mean, you would have to use Wrath for 3 damage, then you get 1 less card, but I think this match was about card advantage.
Yeah, and he has 2 Ancient of Laws if he needs more cards. Well, he had 1 before he played the Wrath.
Yeah, he's going to go for that play instead, end up hero powering. Alright, well, Hunter's starting to draw some of the earlier drops now. Might come down to a point where it just runs out of threats, but again, it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I think he still has Dr. Boom in his deck as well, which is another big game hunter target. It's just unfortunate if you big game hunter the Beast, you get the Fingal Horn.
Do we know if he has Ragnaros, or is it the list that stops at Boom?
That was Max's hunter deck that had
Rag.
Ragnaros, which is kind of sad because I feel like we haven't seen Ragnaros all tournament long.
It's still very, very strong. I personally like it a lot against rogues and against basically any control matchup.
Yeah, Freeze Mage. Actually, no, we did see one Ragnaros against Freeze Mage from Dark Wanix, that's right.
At that point, it's quite. I feel Rag is just a bit. It wasn't really necessary.
It's overkill against Freeze Mage, but that's partially why it's like 90-10 the way it is.
Oh man, this is big game hunter value. Oh, he's not killing me too far out of it. This is gonna be a good turn for Drew.
Yeah, for sure.
Savjz is gonna be very, very sad in about 5 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2.5. 2.
Well,
1.
I've got the beast in my sights.
0! Oh man.
and now we keep the high main. I mean, this is only real play. He's not gonna savage roll here.
I mean, do you hero power it? Keep your 2/4 around? It's tempting.
I would. I mean, like, because then your 2/4 can kill the scientist.
Yeah.
So.
Vicious. I guess this is fine. That's actually a lot
Well, he's
better.
got Savage Roar, so he doesn't want to give up any bodies, right?
Yeah, this is a lot better, actually. become the aggressor right now. You don't need to try to give that Savannah high main taunt.
Actually, I mean, it's like one of those things where because he flipped the switch, he's in big trouble. Savjz definitely can just die next turn. There's so many ways to do it, too.
Yeah, there's the Savjz or the scenario.
It's the same exact thing. Just buff it by 2/2 or give +2 attack.
I think going face last turn was a mistake by Savjz. Should have killed off the Keeper of the Grove.
It just always feels bad, right, when you lose damage on your high mains. Your second high main, and you still have an attack face with it once.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Savjz just dead here.
Let's see, so if he kills off the Shade, 2, 4, 8, 11 plus the 10, so it's 21, yeah.
Yeah. He can silence the Shade and kill the BGH.
It's also a possibility.
Which does that leave him alive?
Nope, definitely
He's
not
just
now.
choosing not to play around Savjz Roar.
Yep. He's just saying, like, this is my best chance.
Yeah, he knows he's dead.
Yeah, but now you don't, I mean, Savjz Roar, Scenarius does the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, Scenarius gives you a little bit under. Just kidding.
Yeah. Scenarius is 3 less damage.
Yeah.
Should have probably hero powered too instead of playing up spinner, but it doesn't really matter.
I guess it really doesn't matter if you lose by 2 inches or 5 feet in this case.
Yeah. Well, SilentStorm continues to be Savjz kryptonite here. 4-0 against him.
Yeah. Can Savjz take a game off this guy?
Upsetting that matchup too. You know, every Druid has beaten every Hunter, I think, and every Rogue has beaten every Warrior.
I mean, it's one of the things where we just look at the deck lists, but it is quite the anomaly.
Yeah, it's not usually what you see happening on ladder.
And we saw at the end there, you just look on Savjz's face. He's really, really like, I think he's quite shaken by this.
Well, it's a matchup that you like, right, generally speaking. Especially if you got 2 high mains out. That's usually one of the primary ways you can push for the win against the Druid. And yet, neither of them were effective. And the one time he did, I think he recognized like exactly what he said. He's like, I should have killed off the Keeper of the Grove there. He had the big game hunter against the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just see Savjz is quite an emotional player. He's a very, very strong player, but he does tilt quite hard, and I'm really quite worried about his chances for going into the next games, because he just doesn't look in the right state of mind to be playing the best possible Hearthstone he can be playing.
I think Savjz is fine. He's a big boy.
So,
Savjz is a grown-ass man. Sure, he can take a couple losses here and there in bad rolls in RNG. Here we go, game number 2, Druid versus Shaman. Now this one flips the other way. Savjz is on the Druid.
this was more of a standard Shaman list from what I remember, not mech. Oh man, might keep that Shredder. It's Shredder. I think you just.
It's just such a great. Well, it's not the best curve because you have if you play the Feral Spirits on 3, you can't play the Shredder on 4.
Right, but almost any card you draw is going to be either Hex or worse than Shredder. So I think I'd still keep it. But yeah, either way, double swipe's kind of interesting. I agree with Savjz to.
Look, he kept the Shredder. Wild
Wow.
Pyromancer. That's a very old school card.
I was actually playing a bit of that on ladder this week as well, and I was actually getting wrecked. But card is not bad for sure.
Go on.
To help with the aggressive strategies. Like here, for example, it's going to be a better play for him than Haunted Creeper would have been. I feel like every game we've seen Wild Pyromancer played in this tournament, it's just been Bloodfin Raptor, but you know, those stats aren't too bad.
3-2 for 2 is pretty vanilla, right? That's what you want.
Yeah. It's not really gonna get 2 for 1 by anything early. It'll at least trade.
So we see the Shade coming out, and if we're going to see the Feral Spirits here, or are you thinking about the Creeper and then?
No, I'm a big fan of playing Spirits on 3 against Druid. Feral Spirit's a fantastic card against Druid, in a lot of the same way that like SI Agent is good against Druid. Because it just gives you like 3 health minions on the board early. I mean, in this case, Savjz has an Innervate Sludge Belcher and a Shade and Extramus, so it's going to be way less good than normal. But, you know, still, he has no way of knowing that, so you still play it turn 3 against Druid.
And this Belcher lines up really, really well into the Feral Spirits, which is really quite unfortunate for SilentStorm.
It's the second time we've seen Savjz have like a really good curve without wild growth. So Zombie Chow definitely pulling its weight for him. Definitely a good choice so far.
And the 2 Innovates help smooth that out quite nicely. Are we going to see the Innovate out for the Azadrake just to get something else on the board?
I think I like that. I mean, it doesn't feel great, but it's definitely a better play than just hero powering or using swipe on nothing.
Well, that Harrison Jones might come in handy because we know there's a Doomhammer in SilentStorm's deck.
Yeah. Not to mention that you get the Drake out if it survives. You have a really powerful swipe the following turn. Really powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, this is just going to clear the board. This shade just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
This should be almost impossible to recover from because Druid versus Shaman is such a tempo-based matchup. Whoever gets the board lead by the mid-game almost always snowballs it into a victory. So we're definitely going to see the board cleared here, and because Shaman can really only deal with like 1 threat at a time with X, Lightning Storm is not going to do great against Druid's larger minions. And, you know, Savjz even has an Ancient Allure for the later stages of the game. I don't see how SilentStorm can climb on it.
Yeah, he's taking so much damage, and he doesn't even have ways to seize it back easily. Like, that shade's going to keep growing.
I mean, Savjz is actually
never mind.
threatening lethal with the Force of Nature next turn.
Oh, you're right. He's actually 1 damage off right now.
That Fire Elemental is probably his best possible draw, though.
Yeah.
Does help him climb back into it a little bit. If Savjz avoids drawing direct damage.
I mean, he has Force of Nature right now, so he just has to do this last bit of damage and then push through, and it's going to end this game. So quick. What can SilentStorm do? This is only turn 7.
Well, he needs a Lightning Storm, and he needs to roll high.
Even then,
Yeah. You bolt the piloted Shredder, get a Doomsayer.
hit the Belcher. You have to hit the Belcher to not be dead to the Force of Nature.
Right, well you attack the Belcher, you bolt the...
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright.
Doomsayer or bust?
Doomsayer?
Oh.
No. Quite the opposite. It's actually one of the best 2 drops you can ask for.
And he gets 3 extra knives off the Force of Nature as well.
Alright, well that was a very quick game number 2, and that just decides it. Nothing else you can really do about that. Savjz's Druid is running hot.
Alright, he's on the board against SilentStorm. Definitely an important win for him. It's gonna give him a lot more confidence going forward.
No smiles this time around. Last time he got his first win, he was pretty happy about it, but this time around, it's all business. Hearthstone is a serious game, guys.
Yeah.
So we've seen Druid doing really, really well in this match and in this tournament in general, which is to be expected, to be pretty honest. It's has been a very strong tournament deck and probably always will be.
Well, now we go on to Warlock versus Rogue. This is a matchup that you said is going to be the main weakness. But, you know, is there ways for him to climb out? Like, what are some of the keys to victory in this last matchup for SilentStorm?
With Warlock versus Rogue, I mean, I'm not entirely sure if he's playing Twilight Drake. I think it's unlikely, but Void Collar is going to be really important at the very least. Like, you want threats and you want to be getting things down early. Mostly you need to hope that Rogue has a bad draw, which is super unlikely because the deck is just so consistent. But, you know, maybe if Savjz isn't playing piloted Shredders, that's definitely going to help out SilentStorm. Not having to deal with that card that just eats his Mistress of Pains.
Do we know how many saps Savjz is running? Because sap's obviously one of the best answers to like a Void Caller Morganis.
Well, at least 1, for sure.
Seems like everyone's found some way to fit Shade and Extramus into their deck, with other tech cards as well. So
True. I haven't seen Farseer, though.
I have, actually. One person played Farseer, SI, and
Shade?
Shade, yeah.
Is it like one of each?
That was me. I had 2 SIs, 2 Farseers, and 1 Shade.
Oh,
wow.
cool.
What'd you cut?
I don't have Dr. Boom, I don't have an Edwin.
Okay, so is that
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I really think the 3-drop is like the most powerful part of Rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, we see at least 1 sap here, so
Oh, there's a Doom Guard. I mean, it makes sense given the nature of demons, but
Yeah, he seems to be like
Yeah.
full out on the demon lock plan. There was a deck running around ladder quite recently that was just Void Callers and then Morganis and Jiraxis as its only two other demons.
I think the list that Just Saiyan climbed pretty far with had only the 2 expensive guys, so definitely interesting to see Doomguard played.
I mean, it's still a strong card even if you don't get it out off a Void Call.
Yeah, the issue is in a standard Demon Lock deck, you're more mid-rangey, you're kind of controlling the board. You're going to have cards in your hand, so you're never going to get to free roll a Doomguard. It's pretty much always going to actually cost you 2 cards, which definitely hurts from time to time. It's not like playing Doomguard in Zoo.
Here we go.
yeah, and even then, it's like that goes into the further question of why not including other demons who are pretty strong in terms on paper, like Dread Infernal, for example, pretty good, 6 for 6, does that kind of damage, but you know, how often are you going to be able to get that out compared to the early game, mid-game consistency that you want out of Warlock?
I'd like to see Immortal Coil his own guy here.
I can ease
Just
your
for
pain.
the card draw.
As you command.
That's so interesting. Like, it's something that you don't really think about. You want the card draw more than you want the 1/1.
Because otherwise you have to wait for Vile Teacher to maybe come down at some point in the future. He's going to be 1 less card into his deck for the rest of this game, basically. Doesn't seem like a big decision, but I think it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mortal Coil's not going to get massive value in this matchup, like killing something. Most of the things that you'll be able to kill, you'll either kill it outright and not be 1 damage off. All of the 3/3s die to like a Hellfire.
It's true. Although,
This is a pretty straightforward prep SI Tink oil turn. I don't see any other option here. Preparation, SI the Void Caller, and just attack Mistress. You have a 6/3, your opponent has nothing. Seems pretty strong.
Yeah.
And the 2 preparations, you definitely have 1 to spare.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the play. There's not really anything else that... I mean,
South Sea Deckhand and this SI Mage instead, save the prep. I think he doesn't want to give it up easily to like a Dark Bomb that he knows his opponent plays too.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just kind of the issue with playing anti-Keelbot and Rogue. Sometimes when you draw your preparations and a bunch of spells, you get those hands that just don't really do anything proactive. That definitely hurts from time to time.
so we're going to see the implosion here, and
Here we go.
Let's see how skillful SilentStorm is with this card.
well, if he has the Mortal
Ooh,
Coil.
outplayed.
I mean, there is Blade Flurry and Phantom Knives in the deck, but it's not here yet.
Yeah, that's so strong when he actually gets to attack with them.
Yeah. And this heal bot's not even going to get full value because it has to come down here,
Yeah, absolutely.
and it's only going to heal him for what, 6 health, rather than the 8 you would normally get from a heal bot. And
Yeah.
it's at this point like heal bot's just so underwhelming. I mean, it's a glorified Farseer where you don't get to re-weapon, and having a weapon equipped at all times is so important with this deck, just for the burst potential it gives you. Because your opponent will always have to play around stuff like prep, oil, blade flurry, which is a huge amount of damage.
Oh my, it's happened to the Void Caller when he has.
I think I'd like to see him not use the Dark Bomb. I think it's better to run 2 Imps in and Mortal Coil so you can develop Mistress. 'Cause if you don't play Mistress this turn, you never will.
Yeah, I definitely think you want to play the Mistress, because you want to play the Mistress down before you get the Void Caller down, so you... to guarantee either your Axis or your Doomguard.
That's a good point.
Like, I really don't...
I like trading in.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think if you're going to leave up...
That's a
if you
great
get-
draw for Savjz.
That's exactly what he needed. That puts him right back in the game.
Sorry, Max, I was interrupting you.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to put down the Void Caller here, you probably want to clear off the 3/3, because drawing into a Fan of Knives, he gets a full clear. I mean, he'll get a Demon, but that's probably a risk Savjz would be willing to take, given he has the sap in case it's a Mal'Ganis or Axis. So I definitely don't like leaving up the 3/3.
Even a sapped Jiraxis or Doomguard is still going to pose a threat later in the game. So it's not the end of the world, I guess. Getting Mal'Ganis sapped is pretty unfortunate, but should be fine. Alright, getting some damage in on the face.
I definitely like that from the point of view of the rogue. Once you get them sort of in the below 20, the 16, 18-ish range, then the Warlock always has to be worried about the threat of oil and flurry just bursting you down from a
I
huge
can
amount.
ease your pain.
Super interesting.
So he goes for the Mistress and a Dark Bomb clear.
Yeah, he had so many options there. He could have abused his guy to trade in. He could have attacked with Void Collar and then Mortal Coiled his own Void Collar. He could have done a lot of stuff there. Honestly, I like the Mortal Coil your own Void Collar play. Because then it's a 50% chance of getting Doomguard out. Even if it gets sapped, you got 5 damage in.
And even if you get Jiraxxus, that's perfectly fine because either they have sap or it's just going to keep repeatedly killing all of them rogue's minions.
It's interesting how Hellfire interacts with both these decks, how there's a lot of small these things built up, and how it deals with the 1/1s from the Violet Teachers, but also kills like your own Void Caller. Pretty effective.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Here we
Oh,
go,
so we're
big
gonna see
Van
a
Cleave
huge
time.
Van Cleave.
Yeah, one of the difficulties of deck building when it comes to Demon Lock actually is that you have to commit so many slots to removal, demons, win conditions for the late game. You pretty much, you don't have room for hard removal. So a lot of times you see people cut Siphon Soul, Big Game Hunter. Like these aren't cards that are super common in the Demon deck.
Yeah, and because you're not playing Ancient Watchers anymore, you're not running 2 Owls, which is another answer that Handlock traditionally has to deal with a huge Van Cleave.
Yeah, so a large minion like that is just fantastic here. Does have a lot of damage now, though, with that power overwhelming.
Yeah, but he only has so much mana to use, too. That Van Cleave can't get dealt with easily.
So I think he should start Mortal Coiling tokens just for draw.
No, you need the coils. You power overwhelming your guy, abuse of it. Run into Van Cleave, Hellfire, double coiled Violet Teacher.
How much mana do you have to do that, though? You do everything?
1, 2,
No, you
6.
want
Oh, you're
one
one short.
Yep. So he's got to do it with this instead. 7 health gain, though. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I definitely like SilentStorm's play a lot better than my play. Although he could have coiled one token just to get one draw.
I think he wants both to deal with this teacher.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Ooh, Shadow Flame.
Man, again, though,
He's 1 mana short.
1 minute short from doing it the way he wants to, because it only has 3 attack, so it can't kill off that Azure Drake. But 1 sap has been used.
Do you go for it anyway?
I guess if you low theb, you're only taking 7. If you low theb and you life tap, you're letting teacher hit you for 3, but you save your coils.
So is this a low theb now?
I think it's Void Collar Dark Bomb.
Yep. Or you can... Is it worth double coiling at all either?
That might be even better, actually.
Because the Mortal Coils, like you said, won't be getting too much more value. He's already... And that's 1 Violet Teacher, which the tokens you'd be using it.
The Mortal Coil also gives you... If you Mortal Coil... If you use both Mortal Coils, you won't have a Mortal Coil left to basically deal with this Azure Drake.
True, that's a good point.
If it kills your Void Caller, or if you end up Shadow Flaming.
Can Shadow play him below theb?
Yeah, for next turn.
This is a fine play. A little aggressive because of the life tap on top of it, but
Yep.
you really encourage the rogue to walk into Shadow Flame with this play.
Yeah.
And one thing we haven't really seen out of this demon deck yet is taunts, so this pile of weapon damage that Savjz is sitting on could really just kill the Warlock out of nowhere.
Yeah, how much? So, without a creature, it's 6 from the oil, 4 from the deadly poison, and 2 from the weapon.
Savjz is
That's
getting really low.
12 damage.
He's got 8 through Dark Bomb and the
2 damage off.
Yeah, 2 damage off lethal.
That's gonna be a good Void Caller. Mal'Ganis is what he wants. Oh no.
No, Draxus came out.
He might just die here.
Hold on.
If there's
3,
a
7,
it's not quite enough.
14, 16. Sprint.
Yeah, because it would be 6 from the oil plus 4 from the deadly poison, which is 10. Plus
Oh,
2 from
sap.
Ah, that's some misplay to play that. You should SI face here.
If he did, he was worried about. He would be.
The, yeah,
Oh, his potential of dying.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Because-
assuming he didn't know that. But
he's only seen 1 power overwhelming so far, and he knows there's Hellfires and Dark Bombs as well.
Well, I like Mal'Ganis.
yeah. Mal'Ganis seems pretty sick considering that he had sap already.
Yeah. It's just the play that makes you least likely to die and puts the most power on the board. And we see-
Golden Mal'Ganis,
Yeah.
by the way, is really cool.
Yeah. It's not for casual.
It's not for casuals.
So, how does the interaction with Blade Flurry killing Mal'Ganis, how does that work?
Probably in favor of the Warlock player. I think.
Yeah, I would think so. Either way, he's going to remove this with Eviscerate and Fan, or SI7, right? Still has enough
Yeah.
mana to also heal himself for Farseer.
I don't think you need the Farseer. I mean, if...
Well, you have 3 mana left,
Yeah.
so I guess what do? You can Fanatize on the SI7 in the face if you want to be a little bit more aggressive.
I think he's counting if he can play the Violet Teacher here or not.
Huh, that's a good question
So
too.
many
I think
options.
he's going to be 1 mana short.
Maybe he's thinking about using a Flurry to mean he'll be able to play the Violet Teacher instead. But yeah, this looks like a much better play.
Yeah. I think the Farseer is a little bit safer because he already used Hellfire and Shadow Flame.
Definitely like this.
Yeah. So then he's still a couple points off damage here, or off lethal.
Yeah, if he were to draw like Power Overwhelming or Abusive, it gets kind of interesting because it's going to come down to Doomguard RNG. I guess you start off with Mortal Coil.
Oh. Wait,
It's 9.
He's-
Yeah, it'd be 1 damage off.
1 damage off lethal, and it's assuming it didn't discard either of those 2. If he had infinite mana,
I'd like to see Dark Bomb Egg Defender, I think.
seems to be his most reasonable course of action. You have to be
Yeah.
really afraid that you might die.
You could also Defender your BGH, but I mean that's pretty much the same as Dark Bombing anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I like Dark Bomb a little bit better. It's better against the Blade Flurry. Which at this point, after 2 sprints, you have to know that Savjz has at least 1 Blade Flurry at this point.
So we're not going to see Savjz drop SilentStorm down to like 5 life or anything by committing a bunch of resources because he still knows about the Draxus in hand from the sap.
Right.
So
So-
many options.
So I think this is probably going to be a Lothab turn.
It seems pretty strong. Could play Teacher too. Another Deadly Poison.
Wait, hold on. Let's calculate damage. Let's say, how much damage does he have maximum here?
Like, there's no way there's lethal because the
I
weapons.
What if
gonna
you-
be block?
Blade Flurry first,
Yeah,
and then
Blade
weapon
Flurry
up
first,
and
yeah.
dagger. That's 7, 10, plus the 6. That's 16. He has 16 damage. If he had 1 more mana, he could Deadly Poison again, right?
15. 5. No, it might be lethal. 15.
So if he Blade Flurries first, he'll be down at 15. Then you can attack
I'm
with.
pretty sure he has lethal. Unless I'm missing something. Blade. Oh no, I'm missing 2 mana.
Yeah,
for,
exactly.
For the initial flurry. Yeah, you're right.
He's just he's a couple of mana short either way.
Here we go.
That's
I really
definitely
like
a
this
good
play.
Middle of the road play.
This is definitely solid.
So it sets up lethal even if this board gets cleared, and it basically prevents him from dying
Ooh, yeah.
with the combination of the Lothab and clearing the board.
So then I guess the best course of action is to
Play Jiraxis.
play Jiraxis and go down to 12.
And is he gonna die?
Well, if you play Jiraxis, you go face, right? Because
Yeah, you do.
don't need to clear. Like clearing the 3/2 does nothing.
Oh, that's also a good point.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
if you play Doomguard, you can kill off the Lothab, but you'd still be working with even less health.
I think it's game. Well, if he goes for Jiraxis, it's game.
Yeah.
So, but there's what else can you do?
He can abusive the.
Oh,
yeah, that's a
the
good
Lothab,
right.
BGH, and then play Doomguard to kill the 3/2, but he's still dead. Because there's oil and Blade Flurry.
Wow, there's a lot of cool things you could have done that turn. You're right, but Jirax seemed to be his best course of action to win the game.
Well, that's just the power of
The oil
the
rogue.
oil rogue, yeah.
Double oil, all the way. What does it mean?
Well, it means lethal.
Yeah. A nice touch going for exact lethal there.
That's how it is. That's how we do it in Savjz's house. He's up 2-1 and 1 game away from going to the top 4 and getting revenge against SilentStorm, who, yeah, we were talking about. He's probably one of the best players you haven't heard of yet. But he's got to prove it first by getting through one of the most accomplished players in the Hearthstone scene. And it's going to come down to the blind pick stage from this point on. What are we feeling?
Druid versus Rogue. I think.
I mean, at this point, it's pretty much the expected result, right? The set games are done. We have a 2-1 lead for Savjz, like we expected, and now SilentStorm has a chance to kind of come back from behind. He has to pick a deck that's just kind of reasonable against anything Savjz can bring. You know, if he picks Warlock, he runs the risk of getting that paired against Rogue again, which is going to be very hard.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the Rogue is just so dominant
Yeah.
against all 3 classes from Savjz, and then Druid's the best against the Rogue. Is that what you're feeling, Max?
Exactly. Like, the Rogue is the obvious choice from Savjz. He can't really bring the Druid because he runs the risk of running against the Warlock or the Shaman. He can't bring his other deck. I just think
Yeah, Rogue versus
Rogue
Druid,
is it's just so strong. Savjz is Rogue, and Druid is the only really response that SilentStorm has for that.
Well, is that what it's going to be? It's Druid versus Warlock.
Whoa.
So we're completely wrong.
We're completely wrong. SilentStorm, oh man.
He's got some balls.
If he's going out, he's going out with style. He
I
wants-
That's how he is. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
guy that doesn't like playing the traditional conventional norms.
And he said it in his interview. He likes building decks that are fun to play and fun to play against. So, gonna give us a good show.
I think so. So game number 4 between SilentStorm and Savjz is about to begin one more time this Demon Lock deck, but this time around, it's up against the Druid.
And we saw this matchup yesterday, and we actually saw SilentStorm take this match. It was the very first game these two played. And even though Savjz had the wild growth start,
Throwaway Mistress of Pain.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know Armorsmith is good against Druid, just to have something on the table, I think. He would want Armorsmith or Mistress.
I guess
as
he
well.
really wants some of his early game impact cards like Void Caller and stuff.
Oh wow, that draw from Savjz is really good. Best of both worlds, Chow and the Wild Growth.
he just needs an innovate for the boom, and then he's good to go.
For the boom. Yeah. Got him, man. He just, I mean, that's what he needs to do one more time around. And he'll be able to put on pretty good pressure from there. The Demon deck seems to also be drawing pretty decently.
He's got both Nerubian eggs. If he draws a Power Overwhelming to activate one of them, he's got an Abusive Sergeant, which, as we said yesterday, was Power Overwhelming number 3, essentially.
This play isn't done often enough where you, well, I mean, here it's pretty clear just because he has a clean kill on the Nerubian, but a lot of times I see people like try to ignore the 0-2 instead of just killing it and letting them have the 4-4, which lets you get value out of like 2 bodies sort of and double the effectiveness of buff cards. So
Because say he drawn into a Power Overwhelming, he'd be out Power Overwhelming the egg to kill the Chow, and then have a 4-4 afterwards.
exactly. Yeah, Void Caller definitely the best card in the matchup for Warlock. With this draw, he just drew a 5-drop and a 6-drop. He's gonna have a perfect 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is just exactly what Savjz wants.
But I think the abusive here to kill the Belcher, and then you can Dark Bomb the Chow.
Definitely,
So
it's pretty strong.
you're left with a 3-1, 2-1.
There's no Keeper of the Grove. I mean, you free roll that Doom Guard, that's so good. What does Druid do against a 5/7? That's pretty much Zoo's best card against Druid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Sylvanas that will come down and could potentially answer it.
Yeah, but the tempo gain that you have from it is also enormous. If you can capitalize on that.
And it does depend on whether Savjz tries to get lucky, essentially, hope there's no demon, and go for it on killing the Void Caller at this turn. Looks like he's not going to. Or is
I mean, it does reduce more damage on the board.
Have we seen an Iron Beak Owl yet out of SilentStorm? I don't think we have.
We've not, no.
Yeah, Sylvanas is just one of the most frustrating cards you can play against them.
The death rattle triggers after it, which means even if it was like a trade, it would steal whatever card came out, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So you could Implosion the Sylvanas and then trade in and hope he steals an imp.
But what if...
No, I like it.
What if he takes the Doom Guard anyways?
He doesn't.
Ammo, yeah.
We can see because the
yeah.
attack animation.
Nice. Alright, Sylvanas is dealt with pretty effectively, and now it's just Dr. Boom versus the world.
I mean, still a pretty big threat.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But we see a Sylvanas from SilentStorm here. And well, the options are play Sylvanas or do things regarding tapping and coil. I think Sylvanas is easily the strong play.
Yeah, that was a pretty weak boom bot.
Yeah, just about the best outcome that SilentStorm could have had.
Ah, he gets the Keeper of the Grove.
It's definitely going to help him out. I guess you just play the 4-drops.
Yeah, and then there won't be a good answer to I mean, SilentStorm can trade in his Sylvanas to kill the boom, but he's so far behind on board at that point.
There's a chance he's playing double Shadow Flame. He's playing at least one. With 2 power overwhelming, it would make some sense to play 2.
Yeah, I would assume so with the Void Cause as well. It's a really good synergy. You know, you tackle with the Sylvanas.
And it's an extra reason for running Abusive Sergeant.
It's 2 Abusive Sergeants. Oh, where's that boom bot hit? Hit the egg?
Ooh, not what he wanted to see.
Still has an opportunity to defend her though. That was not a bad draw.
And
feel
if
like-
you defend her, what do you attack? The 2/4?
I suppose so, so that way he doesn't collect easy value by killing Sylvanas with Dr. Boom.
Let none survive.
Yeah, I think that has to be the attack you make.
Let none survive.
Right now, SilentStorm needs Savjz to brick. Needs no Savage or... Okay, I mean, that is a brick. He just drew Jungle Panther.
It's a valuable Jungle Panther against Mal'Ganis.
And I think, given how it turned out yesterday, Savjz might want to hold on to his BGH.
Yeah.
Given the Mal'Ganis came the very next turn. Although actually, I quite like playing the BGH here. Because... Well, there's not really anything else. I guess...
Oh, wow. Defensive Force of Nature. If I'm right about the way Savjz built his deck, I think there's only one Force of Nature, so...
It definitely looks that way.
Warlock only... doesn't have to worry about Burst anymore. I mean, he kind of has to worry about it, but...
Right, only if it builds up beyond like 3 minions. Because he's still got Hellfire. Ooh,
Oh, that's a
Implosion.
pretty good draw.
That's an excellent draw.
Alright, Healbot's not bad. Yeah, definitely just an Implosion turn.
This is exactly what we saw yesterday in the match, that eventually Savjz was forced to use Force of Nature defensively. He used the combo yesterday defensively, and the Warlock hero power was just able to keep
Oof. Swing and a miss.
That's a terrible.
Yeah, he desperately needed an Ancient of Lore here.
Yeah, we've got Jiraxis, we've got Healbot. It's just, and then of course Warlock Hero Power just.
I mean, is the game just locked up for Warlock? I don't see how Druid can come back from this. Unless we're wrong about the Force of Nature. He might have a second Force of Nature, and maybe Jiraxis gets preemptively played and game could end that way, but...
Yeah, it's definitely very rare to see two combos with Zombie Chows in the deck. And he's also got Sludge Belchers, so he definitely doesn't... It doesn't look like he's got the space for double combo.
Yeah, Savjz gets another weak draw that's not the lore he needs.
And we see here he's holding on to this BGH. Seems like he remembers yesterday all too well, and there is the Mal'Ganis. So when that does come down...
You've already seen Dr. Boom be played by the Druid. Would you just play the 4-2 right now and defender it? Maybe just play the 4-2 and don't defend it.
It's a pretty reasonable amount of stats as well on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, Savjz has to because he wants to take initiative as fast as he can.
Yeah, I'd have liked to see the BGH Abusive Sergeant Defender of Argos play last turn. But
Well, now he's got another target worth defending.
Well, you know, with that Abusive Sergeant in hand, that BGH does get pretty good. Gives you a way to kill Ancient Allures.
I can
Low
ease your
febs.
pain.
yeah, that's definitely true. So I think the defender has to come out here. There's no real value in leaving the Mistress up on its own.
Second swipe doesn't really... I mean, it helps clear, but it's still not an Ancient of Lore.
And we're going to see this Mortal Core get value here as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is just Warlock winning off of the hero power. We see this in a lot of matchups that don't end quickly. The Warlock gets an edge like this.
Yikes.
Dr. Boom, that's probably how the game's going to get closed out. Mistress of Pain, a great draw too, means he can just play one more threat instead of life tapping.
Where's your MC Tech now, Savjz?
And Cenarius just...
Well, he's got BGH and Cenarius. It's not a bad turn.
Definitely his like best draw, I think. But he's still so far behind that even the best draw in his deck doesn't help quite enough.
Yep, and the Abusive Sergeant Shadow Flame clears out everything except Cenarius.
I think you... Like, I don't think you... Yeah, it does clear everything. You Abusive the Cenarius, Big Game Hunter it, and then Shadow Flame the Abusive.
Yeah.
I've got the beast in my sights.
Yeah, that's a really cool play. Look at that. SilentStorm climbing back immediately on board and putting Savjz down to his last couple turns, unless Savjz can draw something big here. He already used both of his swipes, though.
Alza Drake's actually probably one of the best draws in his deck because it gives him an extra card.
Yeah, into Keeper. It's definitely not bad.
It just looks like it's too little too late here.
Yeah, at this point we're just going through the motions. We're actually so far ahead on cards that looks like we're going to be going to game 5.
Does he have a chance for lethal here? I think he does. This is not guaranteed, though.
Yeah, he needs the boom bots to be good. So you run those in first before just attack.
Yikes. Well, there's sometimes you just can't do anything.
Oh, I forgot about the Mal'Ganis. I always forget about the demon
buff?
buff.
Yeah, because you don't think about that. You think about the permanent status. And I think that draw on the Innervate summarizes Savjz's game. It's the polar opposite of his other games. That wraps it up. We're going to game 5 to see who's going to the top 4 between SilentStorm and Savjz.
You know, if Savjz picked Rogue like we were thinking he would have handily won that game most likely. So yeah, it's surprising to see the Druid pick. I guess maybe he was trying to the next level. SilentStorm a little bit. Maybe the whole Rogue versus Druid is just a little too obvious.
Maybe Savjz feels that he doesn't want to play a Druid mirror. Or he wants to play a Druid mirror rather than play Rogue into what was probably going to be Druid. So.
But now it's like the Warlock. So if SilentStorm plays Warlock again, and he thinks that, should he switch to Rogue now? But then what if SilentStorm switches that too? It becomes this mind game.
I still think Rogue has the best win rate against any of SilentStorm's decks. So
Yeah,
he doesn't mind game SilentStorm. He just needs to play his best deck.
And he
It's the
could have
Rogue.
played it twice.
Yeah.
He could have had 2 chances to just win that one game.
And it's certainly interesting. I'm sure that's one of the questions we'll probably have to ask him if he comes out on top. But that means SilentStorm is 1 game away from going to the top 4. And once more, we'll do Druid versus Warlock. No Rogue to be seen.
I definitely think this is a mistake from Savjz.
Well, I guess only time will tell.
Savjz is confident in this Druid deck's Warlock matchup. Or maybe he just expected a different pick yet again.
Well, even then, I think he won the Druid versus Shaman, so maybe he feels that match is favoured. But and then at best he's got a 50-50 with Druid in a mirror match, and I don't think this Druid has a chance against the Warlock, really. I mean, it has a chance, obviously. It's Druid, it can wild growth, innovate, etc. But I think Savjz is good enough, and I think Savjz should have the confidence in his own play to say, I'm not going to try and get lucky with Druid, I'm going to play Rogue and try and outplay my opponent. So I do think it's a mistake, but we're going to see how the matchup fares. But I do favour SilentStorm with his Warlock deck in this matchup.
That's a
Well, it's
pretty
a
good draw.
much better hand than last time. Way better.
Oh, is it time for Murloc Raider? It's not a bad play against Druid, to be honest, on turn 1. If it trades for the coin, that's pretty solid. I mean, knowing that Savjz's hand is, coin, wild growth, into shade, that Abusive Sergeant actually would have put in a lot of work. But
Definitely some damage there.
I can eat.
It's just a pain. Pretty consequential this early on as well. Back-to-back Shades of Naxxramas. This is what Savjz wanted. This time around, his game has gone to a much better start.
definitely, this is looking much better for Savjz than for SilentStorm.
Although...
Well, that's what we said at the beginning of the last
Right.
game.
Yeah, that's fair. All it takes is one good Shadow Flame, I guess.
Right.
He's opting to kill that instead of playing another Shade.
I think he's waiting for Hellfire as a possibility, just like to wreck him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reason to overextend.
And this will be the test to see if he has Hellfire. No, it's a Defender of Argus. So that's another tap then.
Yeah.
Yeah, without being able to implosion something on curve, this deck's a little underwhelming.
I mean, if he'd drawn a Nerubian egg from the tap,
Yeah, that would have been
Harrison. He knows his opponent has Jiraxis. Will it get to that point, though?
half the time Jiraxis is played in this matchup, it has a 3/15 minion. So I wouldn't fault him for just playing Harrison here, but he's just going to go for the Shade instead.
and given he's got a Savage Roar, I mean, at that point you're sort of expecting that if your opponent plays Jiraxis, you'll be able to kill him, either with the combo or with just the Savage Roar plus whatever you have on board.
Yeah, this is still a nice draw, I suppose you could say, for SilentStorm, assuming that Savjz doesn't just try to kill it.
Yeah.
But definitely a turn too late. He would have loved to play that turn 4.
But there's no demon to follow it up.
Yeah, that's the issue. But Savjz doesn't know that. He might just
If
Ignore
Savjz
it.
Ignore it?
ignores it, then he's going to get blown out by Abusive.
In
Shadow
Shadow Flame,
Flame.
yeah.
And he must be thinking if he kills it that he's going to be facing something.
Right. Well, if a Jiraxis or a Mal'Ganis comes down, what do? You have to 2 for 1. You have to like 3 for 1 yourself to deal with this Void Caller. Is that really better than ignoring it? Okay. Wow. He gets rewarded. For that.
SilentStorm pretty happy and giggly about that.
Still no
Beats
Harrison.
audibly
being-
mouths, what? I mean, at this point, would you might as well attack because the other ones are both, like, they're both vulnerable to Hellfire. They're both going to get Dark Bombed.
Right. So why did Hero Power happen there instead of Harrison? Is what I'm wondering. And if he's gonna kill the Void Caller, why not swipe? Or, I guess.
I think Harrison for the Draxus.
I think it's more that he doesn't want to overcommit into
Shadow
a
Flame.
Hellfire or a Shadow Flame.
Well, that was a underwhelming implosion.
Yeah, low roll, but still fine. Did the job.
Yeah, I suppose, because you still have the Abusive Sergeant and the Mortal Coil to take out this Ancient of Lore.
So this time Ancient Lore is actually picked up. That's going to help out Savjz quite a bit. I don't think he drew it last game, did he?
No, he didn't.
He drew both Innervates.
So that contributed a lot to the
Oh, and there's the Doctor Boom.
kind of running out of threads.
And that Void Caller with, again, no demons in hand.
Yeah.
And now that Savjz knows there are no demons in hand.
Right, that second Void Caller is moot. That, I mean, this could be a huge MCT.
How much damage is this? 17? Well, assuming infinite mana, I guess. And just like in general. So let's say like you drew to the Claw Charge plus
Swipe.
Savage Roar this turn.
Oh, okay.
Then you have 15 damage. And then you have lethal next turn.
2
assuming no
swipes.
heal.
But you know he has an anti-heal bot in the deck.
Right.
Yeah.
Much more likely to just see a MC Tech here, I think.
So what are you doing with your other 5 mana?
You have the availability to swipe and remove. If it doesn't, obviously, with the low chance it takes Dr. Boom.
Engaging TC 130.
This'll-
Mental dislocation.
Yeah, that would have been like game winning.
Yeah, the game-winning play. I mean, these boom bots can still do big things.
That's
Ah,
exactly what
yeah.
SilentStorm wanted.
I guess MC Tech can't win you every game.
There we go. So he has initiative again. Now SilentStorm gets to be the first person developing threats every turn. This is exactly what you wanted. This is exactly the position you want to be in Hearthstone. You're the first person playing threats every turn. Your minions are the first ones attacking, and you decide how combat goes. I'd like to see life tap Sylvanas. I think that's better than Void Caller Defender, for sure.
I have no
I think
time
I'd have
for
gone with the
games.
Void Caller Defender because you told Savjz that you have no demons in hand 2 turns ago, so
Right, but
you've had 2 draws. Or
is he
3
really going to
draws.
kill it though? On his turn, he'll just play minions, I think. Big Game Hunter is probably the best draw for SilentStorm here.
I'm not a big fan of dropping a Sylvanas on an empty board.
Really? I love it against Druid. It costs them 6 mana to deal with it, and that means they're not developing any threats. And then and he would have to have the second swipe.
I guess that's true. And Sylvanas is one of those cards that I just feel is really, really awkward a lot of the time, even though it's a very, very powerful card. I mean, awkward for you as well as your opponent.
Still no Big Game Hunter for Savjz here. So if that Mal'Ganis comes down, that will be huge.
yeah, but his opponent's tapped so many cards now. There's a pretty strong likelihood where it is the case. Either way, he also has Sylvanas in response to that.
So this is essentially what I was talking about earlier in how this matchup seems to be so favoured from the Warlock. I mean, Savjz had Wild Growth into Shade, and it still looks like he's not as ahead as you'd expect given that draw.
Now it's kind of iffy what demon comes out, right? If Draxus ends up coming out to 315. Only 2 imps.
Oh man, this implosion has been.
Do you play the Abusive Sergeant as well?
I think so. Ah, Defender. Okay, maybe you do that on the 1/1s.
Yep. Well, Abusive is still less impactful.
Yeah.
And you can Mortal Coil too right after it if he steals it. It's still a likelihood where it doesn't happen.
And if you defend up 1/1s, you're giving him.
Oh. Oh, man, I have a heart attack every time this happens.
Very scary moment.
All right, Implosion counters Sylvanas yet again.
And those imps are now 3/3s.
And those imps are now 3/3s. That's awesome. Well,
Pretty wild.
no Big Game Hunter, and Savjz desperately needs it right now.
Could dig.
And both players are playing for their tournament lives right now.
Yeah, that's right. It's
So-
elimination game.
I think you play the Azure try and draw the BGH, and if you don't, you get Innovate out Dr. Boom.
I agree with that. Well, I think you drew to the Claw Charge and kill off the Mal'Ganis.
Wrath for 1, and then if you don't get BGH, you double innervate big game or back to boom.
That's another option too. Yeah, this is what I would do. It's a lot more conservative, but
Yeah.
I would even innervate the hero power.
To kill the abuser. Yeah, I like that because it plays around the second abusive and it plays around Mortal Coil, both of which we can see are in SilentStorm's hand here.
Yeah, I'd still be able to kill off the Drake, but it'll cost him a little bit more this time around.
A lot of reactive cards for Warlock in hand. Definitely doesn't have a clear minion to develop unless he feels like playing Jiraxxus and power overwhelming on Imp. Mistress helps a bit with that.
Yeah, I think
Abusive.
so. We're going to see abusive coil.
Yeah.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
Yeah, I'm in favor of digging the deck. And also,
And then we have Mistress Defender to protect us against the combo. And there's the heal bot, which further ensures that we're not just going to straight up die as a combo, which has to be on SilentStorm's mind at this point, being only at 14 life, which is, of course, the magic number for the combo.
I was kind of wondering a little bit about SilentStorm and how, you know, he had Jiraxxus a couple opportunities and then kept tapping and whatnot, and I forgot about the Harrison Jones, so he's probably going to hold on to that Jiraxxus for a while, huh? Because he knows that Harrison Jones is in Savjz's Druid deck.
Yeah, there's no reason to just throw it out. You can be patient with it since he has been drawing other reasonable plays. Like, this is a ton of power with this Defender of Argus.
Yeah, and he's going to start gaining life again with this Mistress of Pain and the heal bot. So it's going to get to the point where he's going to be above 15, so he doesn't need to play Jiraxxus for the heal.
Ooh.
Oh, big game hunter against Dr. Boom is drawn. SilentStorm makes a face. Savjz looks over, is like, what do you have?
Savjz knows, he has to know at this point.
It's a lot of damage.
Man, it's so much damage. These boom bots can do magical things, though. Only 1 damage.
Oh, man.
4 damage.
Yeah, and the heal bot just completely puts him out of combo range. And this is looking really, really tough for Savjz there.
Yeah, you can tell he's just not happy with how his game's played out.
How much damage is looking on the other end? He's thinking about conceding, even though he still has 21 health. 5, 9, 12, 14, plus the 11. It's 25 damage.
Can't even seem to farm a boot. There's no RNG going right for Savjz this game.
So Savjz has to play the Taunted Druid of the Claw in order to not be dead. And that's just not... That's never a position you want to be in. Like, once Druid gets behind on board, it doesn't have any ways to catch up short of something like a Spell Power swipe. And he probably only has the one as a Drake, and we've seen an as Drake, and we've seen swipe. So Savjz is probably just looking at this knowing there's absolutely no possible way he could come back from this.
Yeah, I think his last hope would be to go for that Druid of the Claw and this Pilot Shredder and hope that the Pilot Shredder can pop out something of value. Voidwalker doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, SilentStorm just looking for any damage that he can to close the game out.
Yeah, I don't see a way from the lethal with these cards immediately.
And this Voidwalker's actually
Possibilities.
it's quite a good draw because it just further, you know, solidifies the his board position. It means even if there was, say, a double combo, like Force of Nature, double Savage roll with an Innovate, then he wouldn't even be able to lose. Although actually I think we'd seen both Innovates, so that's not something that SilentStorm needs to worry about. But it just looks like he's home in a boat, really. There's absolutely no way for Savjz to come back from this. I mean, even if the Piloted Shredder, say, pops out a Doomsayer, it would have to be on this turn. So
Oh, man.
If it's a Doomsayer,
No, it's just a Trog. No worries. That Doomsayer was the last hope. And he also even heals himself back up to 15.
All right, well.
Here we go. That belongs in a museum, and hopefully this Harrison can bring out something, but it's still a case where Savjz might just die.
well, even if he kills the 3/2, there's then 6 damage on board. Oh, he's going to kill the 4/2, so there's 5 damage on board. So
Plus
the
the
Hellfire
7.
power overwhelming is
Yeah,
1 damage off.
No, what?
Maybe Sludge Belcher's the better play. He's considering that right now.
No, if he plays the Keeper of the Grove, he's still dead.
Oh, yep, 5 plus
Right, because
7.
he's got
exactly
the,
lethal.
Yeah, so the Sludge Belcher keeps him alive better, right? Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Sludge Belcher is what is way back in.
Is Sludge Belcher? Yep, Sludge Belcher means that.
I mean, can
SilentStorm will be
Savjz
1 damage off. I
actually
think.
win this game? I mean,
I think so. We forgot about the Harrison on the Drax because I thought SilentStorm was just going to tap and
Right,
and do some damage, right?
yeah, that's what I was expecting.
I kind of was taken aback by the Draxes. The Sludge Belcher does give him an inkling of a chance, I think, here.
So he's
Unless it's the Dark Bomb number 2.
yeah, it's 1 damage off because you power overwhelming the BGH attack your other 2 creatures into the Belcher and Hellfire, and then go face, and that's 1 damage off lethal.
Wait, what if you Shadow Flame your Inferno?
Oh. Does that do it? Then you can't.
Then you can't Hellfire.
That's still 1 damage off lethal.
Dang.
It's still a better play, though, I think. Just because
Yeah,
it clears the
it
board
clears
on the
the
Druid
board.
side.
So yeah, Shadow Flame, Inferno, kill the Belcher token with the Mistress of Pain, and go face with the rest. I think he's just double and triple checking that he doesn't have lethal here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely math you have to do a couple times over.
Yeah, there's nothing more embarrassing than missing lethal in a professional tournament.
Yeah. Well, he still can't officially kill him either, right? Because the combo will allow him to effectively clear. Oh no, these Voidwalkers also do damage. It's very, very tough. Just one of these minions have to stick.
Every single turn, there's 1 more Infernal.
So, what do you think about power overwhelming the BGH last turn to put Savjz at 1? Then your Hellfire would definitely have the damage to kill him. Because you know there's no more heals in the deck.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe, yeah, it just plays around a taunt. That might have been the way to go.
I mean, it's probably not relevant at this point.
Too many taunts. That's one way to play around the combo. But looks like Savjz can't really figure out a way here. That last card on the far left is a second Savage Roar. But even then, there's just so many taunt bodies in the way.
Yep. I think that's game. There's no way for Savjz to make it out of this. He's going to go with double Keeper of the Grove, I would guess.
Yep, and then hero power to gain 1 life.
I must safeguard.
1 armor.
I must safeguard the land.
Would you play the zombie chow here just to...
You died of fatigue then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, SilentStorm has come all the way and will upset Savjz once more to go to the top 4. What a story once again for this guy, as he is going to be advancing to play against Dark Wanix.
Yeah, SilentStorm, really Savjz kryptonite, takes him out of the tournament, both his losses, with a just plays Demon Lock because he feels like
Right.
it. Druid, looking at those lineups, is probably the way to go, but he's just like, no, I want to play Mistress of Pain. I want to power overwhelming stuff, and
One is Void Caller.
Savjz's world is doomed.
Well, it's already gone. Savjz is done for this tournament. And SilentStorm is the one moving to the top 4 and earning $2,000. So that means Zelay, Dark Wanix, and SilentStorm are the 3 out of the 4 semifinalists, with one possible remaining between Ping Ho and Chalky coming up in a few minutes. Taking a look at that series overall, it was very back and forth. Some of the upsets, some of the things we didn't really expect, but the last 2 games kind of panned out the way we thought it would, right? That Demon deck. Yep. Just too strong as the game develops, as Druid just runs out of answers to keep up with its pace and threats.
Like, even when Druid had the perfect wild growth into double shade draw, it was just not enough to deal with the late game inevitability of this Warlock deck.
Yeah, well, pretty intense stuff. Savjz is out, but that shouldn't stop you guys from cheering on your other favorite players besides him, because we know that he's one of the fan favorites. And the way you can do that is to hashtag HLS, tweet at ESL Hearthstone. If you're having some fun with the event, make sure to let us know. And of course, we also want to give a big shout out to Gigabyte, who's letting us having a lot of fun here at the event. They've been doing a good job supporting us. You can check out the link below and support them as well and send them a thank you note for what they do here at the Legendary Series. Max, thank you so much for stopping by and casting this match. Good luck in the tournament. I think the next one is the EU versus CN, right? That's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks, so hopefully we'll see you compete against the East there. In the meantime, we have an interview with SilentStorm, the man of the moment, once again with Anastasia.
Thank you very much, Frodan, and thank you for the wink. I will wink back at you one time, I promise. So I am here with the winner, SilentStorm. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Now, how does it feel?
It feels really great. I mean...
Good, good, very happy. So you were mentioning in your media piece that you like to make very strong, but your biggest strength is that you like to make very fun decks to play. And I think we saw that when you played your Warlock deck 3 times in a row. Talk to us a little bit about playing that deck.
Yeah, the first game was a little disappointing. I didn't get as good draws against his Rogue, but I was pretty confident about my Demon Lock deck, so I brought it again and again to win the series.
Well, congratulations. It's a good thing you did. You did win the series. And, I mean, you always say that you don't think that you're that good of a player, but you just beat out Savjz. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I had, like, a lot of clutch top decks over.
That you did. Now, is there anything that you would like to say to anybody watching us right now?
I want to thank those who are supporting me. And, yeah.
That is very, very nice of you. And now to everybody watching, don't go anywhere. Next up, we got... sorry for that. Next up, we got Zelay versus... we got Ping Ho versus Chalky. And you are currently watching the Hearthstone's Legendary Series Season 1 Finals. We'll be right back after this short break.